Hello to all of our readers and viewers in Taos and northern New Mexico. This is Cody, one of the reporters here at the Taos News. We are always working on stories that may take weeks or even months to get in print. But before we go to press this week, here is a sneak peek at what we're working on for Thursday's edition. First up, you might remember the murder of Roxanne Houston, whose remains were found on Christmas Day on the Mesa in 2014. A West Virginia man was found guilty of the murder, and his appeal to the New Mexico Supreme Court has failed. Dennings Cale, a transient who found his way to Taos a year before the murder, argued in the appeal that prosecutors presented insufficient evidence to convict and sentence him to a life in prison. We explain in this week's paper why the state's top justices disagreed. In other law enforcement news, even law-abiding Taos drivers may be pulled over at random this month by New Mexico State Police officers. The agency is increasing patrols and operating sobriety checkpoints in an effort to combat drunk driving, which is still a major concern here in New Mexico. The tactic, however, is highly controversial. Reporter John Miller looks at how other states have found sobriety checkpoints to be at odds with Fourth Amendment rights. The Carson National Forest is open again, and forest officials have even lifted all of the fire restrictions. However, the town and county have not, so burning brush piles and lighting up the charcoal grill is still not allowed in most of our communities. All of the fires in the area are more or less under control, with no major updates in the past few days. In this week's sports news, the local Defendu Academy grapplers came home from a tournament with medals in hand, while Taos youth football celebrates its 10-year anniversary. Also, Taos Tiger football is just a little more than 1 month away, and our sports editor Arsenio has a much-awaited preview. On the education beat, we take a look at the recently released park scores from the 2017-18 school year and compare some of the schools in Taos County. The PED secretary lent some praise to the Taos area and said some schools in the area should be the beacons for other schools to mirror their success. On the Lifestyles page, guest writer Cindy Brown has a story about how older trekkers prove that age doesn't have to keep you off the trails. Shoot, most of the time I go for a hike, there's usually an 80-year-old woman who leaves me in the dust. So there you have it. In Tempo, all eyes are on the annual Fiestas de Santiago y Santa Ana de Taos. From the religious observances to the music, dance, food, and pageantry, this event speaks to the history and culture of the community. We're also covering the big Ranky Tanky show at the Mothership, the new art exhibit at Studio 107B called Red, White, and Brown, and the one-woman performance of Mother Jones in Heaven. Don't miss Rick's review of The Rock's new movie, Skyscraper. In the weather, it's still hot this week, but we've got some humidity and rainstorms to keep the threat of fire at bay. Of course, storms also spell lightning and erratic winds, and firefighters have to keep that in mind too. And here's what's up in the astrology. We just had an eclipse last week and another is coming up. Google can tell you what that's all about. But eclipses are always super emotional, so this is just my personal advice, but do something nice for yourself because that is always in season. That'll do it for this week. As you know, papers go on sale Thursday and are just $1. Thank you everyone for supporting a free and independent press, one of the foundations of our society, right here in northern New Mexico. Bueno, bye.